I know how I reacted when I was watching this testimony and the video that was shown. How was the jury reacting?
Hi there, Katie. Well, this was supposed to be among the driest, most technical testimony that we had seen so far. So you wondered, how might the jury react to this? Well, we're getting our initial reports from inside the courtroom, from the pool reporters inside the courtroom. And according to the pool report, the jurors were very attentive. They're taking notes, obviously impacted by this testimony. And you could see it from the doctor's testimony. He was engaging with the jurors. He was making eye contact with them. Certainly comes from his experience, as he says, testifying in dozens of trials, about 50, he said. So, Katie, you mentioned a lot of the highlights in your setup, but what really struck me was that moment when the doctor was discussing not just the knee on George Floyd's neck, but also how the handcuffs behind him, how that impacted his breathing. It's going to be very tough for the defense to refute some of that based on any cross-examination. We're expecting that after the break. But, Katie, it was just incredible to hear this world-renowned leader in his field really picking apart the defense's argument point by point. This all sets up the county medical examiner who is supposed to testify tomorrow. His controversial autopsy report did not mention asphyxia, and it has been used by the defense to argue that Floyd had high levels of fentanyl in his system. But you just heard the doctor right there basically picking apart that argument, Katie.
Dr. Tobin accordingly wrote the Bible on breathing. That's what it's known as. Dr. Gupta, you're also pretty preeminent in the field of pulmonology. We're really lucky to have you to talk about COVID, but having you to talk about this, I'd like to know, with your expertise, what did you make of this testimony?
Good afternoon, Katie. It's obviously really difficult to listen to, but everything Dr. Tobin said, and he's an icon in our field, was correct. Let me key in on a few things for your audience. One, this notion that fentanyl played any role. For those who know how fentanyl works, basically this will cause somebody to be sleepy pretty quickly. It will cause them to have their respiratory rate decline. So normally, Katie, you and I are breathing about 10 to 12 breaths a minute. Fentanyl will cause your respiratory rate to decline to maybe 4 to 6 breaths per minute. Dr. Tobin appropriately noted that Mr. Floyd was breathing at about 20 breaths per minute. He was at a high normal breathing rate, trying to get more breaths in. So number one, that fundamentally works against this argument that fentanyl played any role. Number two, I thought what was very moving and really important to emphasize was the contortions of the hip that Mr. Floyd was trying to engage in to see if he could free up his right side. His right chest was his only hope to get a breath in. His windpipe was already being constricted by the knee. Here he was trying to get an effective breath by opening up his right chest, because per what Dr. Tobin said, his left lung was effectively non-existent because it was already smashed into the street. So basically you had a situation where Mr. Floyd was being strangulated from above. His windpipe was being strangulated and his rib cage was not able to move, and he was trying to move it with contortions of his hip, pushing his knuckles against the tire. He unfortunately couldn't do it, but that was really what caused his respiratory arrest, ultimately his heart is going into cardiac arrest.
You know, I know we focus so much on the knee and the neck, but Dr. Tobin made this point, and so did one of the witnesses yesterday, that Derek Chauvin's whole body weight was on George Floyd's body, not just the neck, but the back. They also talked in great detail, Dr. Gupta, about the compression of the hands at the base of the back by Derek Chauvin and one of the other officers. What does it mean when a person's entire body weight is not just on your neck, but on your back?
Well, Katie, the only way to get in enough oxygen into your blood through your lungs is if you can take an effective breath. So that's you and me being able to lift our rib cage. Mr. Floyd was unable to do that because he had a very heavy person leaning his entire body weight on him. I thought it was important to say that the boot of Derek Chauvin was not actually hitting the ground. It was all focused, his entire body weight was focused on his chest and on his neck, meaning you couldn't elevate the rib cage. And having actually the hands handcuffed behind his back, Mr. Floyd's back, prevented him from using his appendages from lifting up, from having a fighting chance to actually see if he could potentially elevate his ribcage even a little bit to get maybe a small breath in. But the combination of the strangulation of the windpipe and the inability to elevate his ribcage because of the body weight issue was the reason why there was no oxygen within a few minutes. And typically speaking, Katie, I'll say just, and lastly, brain damage usually occurs within about 4 minutes of oxygen deprivation. So oxygen levels 70% less for about 4 minutes. That's when you're going to start seeing seizure-like activity. That's when you're going to start seeing the flickering of the eyelids. And that's exactly what happened.
Joyce Vance, from a legal standpoint, this case, how does a jury take in an expert like Dr. Tobin?
This evidence, this testimony is effective precisely because it's so painful to listen to. It almost puts the jury into the position of experiencing the pain that was inflicted on George Floyd. It personalizes the experience in a way that little else can do. And there's something else important going on in this testimony. While psychologically it's devastating to the defense, it also lines up very neatly with what the jury has already heard from police, from everyone that they've heard from police employees in Minnesota to the excessive force experts yesterday, who talk about the risk of positional asphyxia and who say being prone, being cuffed creates a risk of asphyxia. When you add pressure on the body, whether it's on the neck, on the shoulder blade, it increases that risk. And now we have a medical expert who says, yes, this is why police train the way they do, in effect. He says this is what the risks are, and this is what caused George Floyd's death. It's a very good piece of testimony for the prosecution, but the defense still gets to cross-examine.
They do, and they'll do so at 2:30 Eastern time in just a few minutes. They'll get their chance. Joyce, one of the things that really stuck out to me was when Dr. Tobin asked the jury to touch their own neck and feel where their own spinal cord was, touch their own throat, feel where they do their breathing. I wonder, when you have somebody asking the jury to physically get involved, to physically feel what a victim felt in the moment, how effective can that be? Can it ever backfire?
You know, everything can backfire in a trial setting. But this worked. It worked really well. There was a sidebar during this testimony, and I suspect that the defense objected to it. They didn't want to see this personalization for the jury. If there's a conviction, the defense will argue on appeal that this was an error for the judge to permit the expert witness to do this. But admitting evidence is largely within the judge's discretion, and here this paid off for the prosecution.
You know, there was that. There was George Floyd's boot not on the ground, his body.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.